It's been about 2 years now since I bought my Piper Super Cub, and I'm still loving it. When I purchased it, I had zero tailwheel time. Only once had I sat as a passenger in a Piper J3 Cub as a kid. Up until strapping into the pilot seat of the Super Cub, all of my previous piloting command time had been in tricycle gear aircraft like Cessna 172s, 182s, and Piper Archers and Warriors. To put it lightly, learning to fly a Taildragger in a Super Cub was quite the experience, and no doubt, I am still learning to fly it, and I assume I will be for many years to come. After purchasing the plane, per my insurance carrier's requirements, I took their mandatory 10 hours of tailwheel flight training as part of getting my tailwheel endorsement in it. By the time I had achieved both requirements, I had naively thought I had a pretty good handle on how to fly the aircraft, and in particular land it. As you can see in this footage of me landing it for the first time at an extremely wide and long runway, I still had a lot to learn when it came to landing a Taildragger. I came in hot at around 75 miles per hour, and it accepted a cleared to land clearance from the tower with a 5-knot right quartering tailwind. Between an airspeed that was too fast and a ground speed that was even faster, I was in for the shock of my life when I touched down and bounced twice. Fortunately, my training kicked in when I saw I was losing directional control of the aircraft. I applied full power and slowly pitched up to do a go-around, or in this case, just get myself stabilized again on final and continue down the 11,000 plus foot runway to make another attempt to land at a slower airspeed. Since that day, I have improved my landings greatly. Though that particular landing was a bit frightening, I chalked it up as a learning experience and reflected on what I was doing wrong, or what I had done wrong, and most importantly, what I had to do better. To do better, I came to a few conclusions. First, my airspeed needed to be much slower on final approach. Today, when it's just me and the plane, my final approach speed is between 65 and 60 miles per hour with flaps, or full flaps. Second, aim for making three-point landings rather than wheeled landings. Even though the final approach speed should be the same for either type of landing, in general, pilots, including myself, have a tendency to come in faster on touchdown when making a wheeled landing. For better visibility on landing, I had preferred the wheeled landing. However, with the wheeled landings comes higher kinetic energy that has to be dissipated upon touching down on terra firma. It can be quite challenging to maintain directional control of a tailwheel aircraft when having to dissipate that amount of energy once touching down on the mains, as I so illustratively proved to myself. Third, never accept a landing clearance that is not appropriate for the aircraft you're flying. I should have declined the clearance the tower had given me that day and requested to land in the opposite direction. Fourth, I needed to practice making more landings, a lot more landings, in which I have done. So after 2 years of flying the Super Cub and after making hundreds of landings since that terrible landing experience, most of which, by the way, have been on asphalt paved runways, I feel that I've come a long ways in my tailwheel landing skills. Today, when I take the plane out, I no longer have intrepidation and doubts about my abilities to make safe landings in it. Besides controlling my final approach airspeed, I also have a better feel on arresting the final descent by either just slightly pulling back on the stick and or applying a little extra power to ensure me to create a higher angle of attack and allow the aircraft to touch down at a slower airspeed in either a three-point landing or nearly a three-point landing, with a whole lot less energy to deal with on the rollout and bringing the aircraft to a stop. Also, if I had to describe it in one word on how I also feel about improving my landings, I've come down to the word scrappier. I'm a scrappier pilot. Unlike a tricycle aircraft, where a pilot can be much slower to react with the rudder pedals and ailerons to maintain directional control of the aircraft when touching down and rolling out after landing, a taildragger aircraft requires a pilot to be much more tuned to what the aircraft is doing once it touches down, and accordingly be very quick and nimble on the stick and rudder pedals to ensure the aircraft maintains a directional control and doesn't attempt to fly again. Specifically what that means for the taildragger pilot, punching and jabbing the rudder pedals, not the brakes, to maintain directional control of the aircraft so that its longitudinal axis is lined up straight and centered down the runway as the aircraft rolls to a stop. 2, that the stick is pulled back upon landing to hold and pin the tail to the runway. 3, and that the stick is pushed sideways into the direction of any crosswind to ensure that the wing lift doesn't lift up and cause the plane to rotate or attempt to partially fly again. And in regards to the brakes again, I only apply the heel brakes after the aircraft is nearly rolled to a stop on its own momentum. Punching the brakes instead of the rudder pedals after touching down can lead to a nose-over accident and end up costing you a fortune in aircraft repairs. Moreover, and this situation could be limited to just people with larger feet like myself, I find it impossible to evenly apply the heel brakes. Consequently, it is very easy to lose directional control of the aircraft if differential braking is accidentally being applied. For me, I find it best to let the aircraft come to nearly a slow walk, rollout speed before I lightly start to alternately jab the heel brakes to bring the aircraft to a complete stop. Lastly, as every pilot knows, when landing on a very large and wide runway for the first time or in a long time, there is a tendency to flare high and thus potentially end up with a hard landing or a bounce landing. I learned to mitigate this situation in my Super Cub by doing something akin to a glassy float plane landing. In many respects, the situation is the same. A very wide and large runway can reduce peripheral vision cues on how close you are to the ground, thus impairing your ability to know when to transition and flare for touchdown. Consequently, I find it better to reduce my descent rate significantly when landing on larger and wider runways by slight power and pitch adjustments, and to just be patient for those wheels to touch down on the runway. So as I've said, I love flying my Super Cub, and it has no doubt forced me to be a better aviator. The additional pilot finesse and control it has demanded of me has also transferred over to my tricycle gear aircraft flying skills, and not just the landings. So, for any pilots thinking about getting a tailwheel endorsement and or buying a Taildragger aircraft, I highly recommend it. It will no doubt humble you and improve your aviator skills, and in the process, give you the opportunities to fly to airfields and backcountry destinations that tricycle gear aircraft are just not equipped to do. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click on the notification button so that you get notified when I come out with another video.